Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, I am the CHALL and welcome to another video where today Chall Chats the NBA. Denver Nuggets have won their first NBA championship in franchise history, and we are here with Ayotunde, who is an NBA journalist, an announcer and play-by-play reporter. Ayotunde, welcome to Chall Chats. How are you doing, my friend?
I am very well. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a long time coming, and I am absolutely excited to be here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you on, making your debut on the channel this year. Let's get straight into this then. Denver, their first NBA championship in franchise history. Miami definitely took the fight to them, but in the end, I think Denver deserved it.
I mean, no question. Going into the playoffs, Denver was one of those teams that had the bad reputation of doing so well in the regular season. And then when they get to the playoffs, they absolutely blow everything up, okay? But then this time around, they knew what they were made of. They knew they had one of the best players in the league over the last 5 years, and they knew they had a great support cast, and they put everything into action. The wheels were well oiled, and everything was just running smoothly for them. And even though in certain cases in the game and all through the series entirely, we saw Miami put up some fight, ultimately, the quality of Denver was too much for Miami to handle. Credit to Miami for their Cinderella run. Okay, almost not making it in the playoffs in the first place and going all the way to the finals, including some giant killings along the way. The Denver Nuggets were too difficult for them to handle. And so I knew that it was going to, the entire series was not going to be a 7-game series, because I just thought Denver had too much quality. They had too much going on for them. And they had Jamal, who was back from, a torn ACL, and he's been playing lights out in the entire postseason. And they have such a deep roster, and any given night somebody can turn up. In game 4 it was Aaron Gordon that turned up. Bruce Bowen turned up in the fourth quarter, and then in game 3 we saw the rookie Christian Brown show up. So that's the kind of team they are, and we've got to give them a lot of credit for what they've done.
Absolutely. I mean, you picked on one of those players there, Jamal Murray. I mean, him, Jokic, some of these players came in the NBA draft and they never left Denver. This has been a long-term project for some of these players, and one of them in particular, like we said, Jamal Murray. How amazing must it have been to come from an injury like that and to now be winning his first NBA championship? I've got to feel so much tremendous gradation for Jamal.
Without question, without question. He reminds me of a few players who went through similar experiences, and people counted them out. We saw Paul George do it. He broke his leg when scrimmaging for Team USA a few years ago. We saw Sean Livingston bounce back from a broken leg to win the NBA title multiple times with the Golden State Warriors, and now Jamal Murray has done the same thing. At some point when he got injured, he spoke to his manager, his coach, and Mike Malone he asked Mike Malone, "Are you guys going to trade me now that I am damaged goods?" And Mike Malone said, "Absolutely not. You are an integral part of this family, and you have been with us from the beginning. You will be with us even when we make history." And that's exactly what happened. He came back, he used the regular season to get his legs back under him, and he kept getting better as the season wound down. And when we got to the playoffs, man, he was unleashed from the very beginning. And even in the finals, when the Heat decided to put some incredible defensive schemes on Murray, he found other ways to be useful. He became a willing passer, averaged double digits assists in the NBA finals. I thought he had an incredible run, one he must be very, very proud of.
Absolutely. And, another one of those all-star players was Nikola Jokic, the Joker. I mean, how much of a beast on the court was he? And especially in that game last night where he started to pick up and you could see what he can do, and the fact that, and I saw this a few times, especially in the second half, he would just shoulder off of those Miami players. He would back away. He invites them to go at them and try and, pressure them more, and he just keeps pressing back on the pressure, and he'll just find a way to make a pass or go through that pressure. He's just been unstoppable this season at times.
I think Nikola Jokic has made a great case for him being the best player in the world today. Giannis said at the start of this season, when he was asked who the best player was, he said, well, the guy who currently has the title is the best player, and he was referring to Steph Curry. We can say the same thing about Jokic now. Sometime last week, I was in a conversation with a few friends, and they were comparing Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid, who was the overall better player. And some points that were brought up included the fact that everything Embiid can do on the offensive end of the floor, Jokic can do, or probably even do better. Jokic is a better jump shooter, right? Jokic has a greater control of the offense. He sees plays long before they develop. He knows exactly where the players are going to be in every position on the court. He's able to find them with his height. He's willing to give up the ball, to give up a good shot for a great shot. That's the kind of unselfish player Nikola Jokic is. And I think he showed his greatness, averaging over 30 points in the series, shooting well over 55% from the field and his 40% from downtown. He was just a complete monster. The question people are asking here in America now is, where do we rank Nikola Jokic on the list of all-time great centers? And trust me, the only reason why he might not be mentioned in the same breath just yet as guys like Shaq, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Hakeem Olajuwon, he's probably because he's only won his first NBA title. And so we're thinking in the next 5 years, 6 years, if he wins 2 titles, 3 titles, 4 titles, then we might be running out of arguments against Nikola Jokic being a top 3 all-time center the league has ever seen. That's how great Jokic has been.
Absolutely, and someone who's become a real impact player for Denver is Michael Portis Jr. I mean, the amount of times he explodes on the offense, especially in that recent game, the game that Denver won it all, he just showed exactly what he can do in this team.
I mean, Michael Porter, when he came into the league, he had only played a handful of college games, okay? And he had multiple back surgeries. And so his stock fell. He was expected to be drafted top 3 and then top 5. But ultimately, everybody passed on him, and he became the 14th pick, and it was the Denver Nuggets who picked him up. Michael Porter is an incredibly talented shooter. Okay, he is a sniper from anywhere on the floor. And he's work in progress. He is still growing. I don't think we've seen the best of Michael Porter yet. And like I said about Jokic, when Porter struggled in this final series, he found other ways to be useful, setting screens, being a willing passer, making cuts to disturb the Heat defense. He did all of that. And then in game 5 last night, he showed up and said, look, I may have been having a bad shooting performance all through the series, but this is when it matters the most. We are here to win the NBA title in front of our 20,000 fans. Do you know that they have, of their current team, they have about 9 players who are still having a contract with them when the new season starts? And that includes Jokic. It includes Murray, Aaron Gordon, Bruce Bowen. It includes Michael Porter Jr. Like, the core of the team is still intact and a little bit extra. I think that's how good Michael Porter was, and that's how scary the Denver Nuggets will be even going forward, because some of these guys are actually still growing.
Absolutely, and we're talking about players, but we've also got to have a special mention for that coaching staff, including the head coach, Michael Malone. I mean, what a job this guy's done.
Absolutely. I mean, Mike Malone has been in the game for a long time. And it looked like he spoke a lot more. He became a lot more outspoken this postseason as the series came, going past series. And he kept saying, you guys are not giving us the respect we think we deserve. We had the best record in the Western Conference in the regular season. We've smashed through teams in the playoffs. we are in the finals and you're not giving us the attention we deserve. You're not giving us the respect we deserve. You are still questioning what we've been able to achieve. I don't think it's fair. And that has been his message. So he went into the finals with a chip on his shoulder, transferred that same will and desire and enthusiasm and zeal to the rest of the team, making them understand these guys still don't believe we've earned everything we've earned getting up to this point. Let's go out there and absolutely show them. One of the hallmarks of a great basketball coach is the ability to make adjustments. They won game one very, very well at home, and then they lost game two because Eric Spoelstra of Miami made a lot of adjustments. And then game three, game four, game five, Mike Malone came up with his own adjustments, decided to give Bruce Brown more minutes in the fourth quarter. Bruce Brown is an incredible slasher who has added three-point shooting to his game. He kept him on the court so that if they try to dare him to shoot three-pointers, he's going to absolutely bury them. These are the little adjustments Mike Malone made, and we can talk about Jokic all we want to. We can talk about Jamal Murray all we want to. We can talk about all these other guys all we want to. But without a coach like Mike Malone, it could have just been any other team. I mean, think about the Phoenix Suns with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul. They were bundled out by this same Denver Nuggets. We've seen a lot of teams with incredible talent. Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, the same team that got to the finals last year, could not even go beyond the Miami Heat. I think that shows how important the work of a coach is in a basketball team and how good Mike Malone has been in discharging those duties.
Absolutely, and of course, you know, there was two teams in this NBA Championship playoff series finals. We have to talk about Miami Heat as well. I mean, Jimmy Butler. I mean, he was probably the disappointment of last night from a losing side perspective. What happened to Jimmy? What went on in his mind that created the performance that we saw the previous evening?
So, if we're going to be very honest, Jimmy Butler started to struggle in the Boston series. And it looked as though Mike Malone took a page out of Boston's defensive schemes on Jimmy and decided to put Aaron Gordon, who is a bigger, faster, more athletic player than Jimmy Butler, and asked him to be his primary defender. That made life really difficult for Jimmy Butler. Now, if those who have watched a lot of Jimmy Butler know that one of his biggest moves on offense is the pump fake. Aaron Gordon hardly fell for these pump fakes. And so he put Jimmy Butler in a decision to make, you know, in a position to make drastic decisions. Do you want to drive to the basket? I'm right there with you. Do you want to shoot over me? I'm taller than you. I am going to contest every shot you take. Or you might just have to pass the ball. And then they drain the shot clock down to the last 5 seconds, and it becomes very difficult for Butler and the Heat to do anything. So it's not to take away from how great Butler has been in the postseason, but Mike Malone, Joe Mazzulla of the Boston Celtics made us realize all you need to do to make life difficult for Jimmy Butler is to put a bigger body who is very mobile, like Aaron Gordon, you know, like Grant. I miss his first name now in the Boston Celtics. You know, those guys made it difficult for Jimmy to do what Jimmy loves to do. But like I said, it takes nothing away from what an incredible player Jimmy Butler is and an incredible run he made Miami have. Miami had no business being in the playoffs. They certainly had no business beating Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. And for sure, they had no business being in the NBA final. But when you go through those juggernauts and you play in the finals, you lose in 5 games, you got to keep your head up. And I think Jimmy will be coming back next season with an incredible point to be. Some people don't think he's a superstar yet, but he's thinking, I'm going to have to come back and show you guys that what happened last year was no fluke.
Absolutely. And to be fair, like you said, you hit the nail right on the head there. I think it was just a masterclass in defensive structure from the opposition. In terms of Miami Heat overall, then obviously they're going to have to come back from this bigger, faster, stronger, you know, all these different things they're going to have to improve on from this year. Obviously, Hero didn't really make an appearance in the game last night. Calls that they should have used him. You know, what do Miami need to do to try and one-up what they did this year and actually go that one step further and get another title under their belt? What do they need to do?
I think it starts from them feeling great about the season they had because they were not supposed to go this far based on the kind of team they had. I mean, look at the team. Has a lot of undrafted players who were overlooked, players who were disrespected all through their careers. And these guys showed up at one point or the other. Caleb Martin, my boy Gabe Vincent, Bam Adebayo, alongside Jimmy Butler with the veteran experience of Kyle Lowry. But going into the offseason, it's a different thing entirely because these kind of runs that we saw in the postseason do not happen so much in the history of the game, okay? So with this same team gathered together and came back next season, do we think they would make the kind of shout they made this season? I don't think so. For starters, Bam Adebayo, incredible player. I think he's too undersized to be a center, and so he could not defend against Nikola Jokic. Jokic was just flipping those hook shots over him, taking those. His jumpers were contested, but because he has a lot of height advantage over Adebayo, it was easy for him to make those shots. So I think they're going to have to get a big body in the middle as a center and perhaps move Bam to the power forward position. That's one. Number two, Kyle Lowry is 37 going on 38. I don't think you can rely on him, even coming off the bench to put up big numbers. His prime is over. He's already looking towards retirement. And so the question is guys like Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. These guys, no disrespect to them, they are role players at best. What am I trying to say? I think Miami needs to sign somehow in the offseason a superstar to join Jimmy Butler. That way, with a superstar, with Jimmy Butler, I don't know, the superstar could be a point guard. Damian Lillard for many years said he was going to play out his career in Portland. But a few weeks ago he was speaking and he's kind of backtracked on that. He says he wants to win desperately. Just picture Damian Lillard playing with Jimmy Butler in Miami. Then that's going to be some trouble for the NBA. But they have to sign a superstar going forward if they're going to try to make it back to the NBA Finals like they did this year.
Absolutely. And finally then, from Denver's point of view, they've got that first title under the belt. What do they need to do now to make it two?
They have to understand that right now, the margin for error is even smaller than the margin for error when they won the title because they can't make mistakes. But the good thing for them is, like I said in the beginning, that the core of the team is still going to be intact. Not a lot of players are leaving. So you still have Jokic, you have Murray, you have Porter Jr., you have Bruce Brown, I beg your pardon. You have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, you have Aaron Gordon. All these guys, Christian Braun, they are still there. And so they will only continue to get better. Their chemistry will only continue to solidify all the more. And who knows? They might just go into the offseason, sign some more role players, especially guys who can shoot the basketball because that's the way the game is played today. It's about pace and space. You have space, you knock down the three-pointer, and that's how the game is right now. So I don't think there'll be too many personnel changes. I'm not sure if they bring another superstar because of the salaries of the team right now. But with the guys they currently have, especially the younger ones, if they can grow steadily over the course of the summer, enjoy the title win, but get back into the gym, keep yourself in shape, improve on areas of your game where you suffered, and I think it's going to be good days for them coming up next season. And let me quickly add this, that Denver was not, during the regular season, they were an average team at best defensively. In the playoffs, they kept turning it up. And in the finals, we saw them put up the best defense we've seen Denver play perhaps over the last 10 years. And that was the recipe. So they know now that they just have to continue to do what they did in the postseason this year. And who knows? I think now, as defending champions, they are favorites to win the title next season, except one team goes into the trade or goes into the offseason and makes some really crazy moves and sign like 2-3 superstars, and then maybe we can have a different conversation at that time. But right now, it's all about Denver.
Ayotunde, thank you so much for being a part of this video. Really appreciate that. We'll try and get you back on the channel for loads more content over the postseason, going into the summer camps in a few months, and it's going to be a really good off-season. So thank you very much. We can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you guys for watching. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more off-season content. And for now, I'm the CHALL. Ta-ra for now.